Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, LaShawn Sugar Ray Marston, host of The Sugar Ray Show, here with another powerful, beautiful episode with a dear brother of mine. You know, as I often say, it's not always the length of a relationship, it's the depth of the relationship, it's the connection, it's the purpose of the relationship. And this brother who I met not too long ago, we share so much of the same passions, of the same interests. My brother, Aniket Gune of the Art of Living Foundation, here to talk about some very important events that are coming up, some very important happenings that are happening here in New York City in the next few weeks. So let me read his bio, let you know who he is personally, and then we'll talk about all of the stuff.
All right, Sugar Ray. It's
Yes, sir.
awesome being here,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's just great to be connected. To your point, in a
Yes,
short
sir.
period of time, the depth of the relationship that we've uncovered is incredible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna talk about it all. So let's read the
Awesome.
bio. Aniket wears multiple hats. Most recently, Aniket was the Chief Product Officer at Smart Asset, one of the largest financial advisory marketplaces in the US. Prior to that, Aniket was the global head of product at Amazon's audiobook division, Audible. A brand innovator, Aniket was selected as one of the 40 most innovative brand marketers under the age of 40. He has launched multiple social advocacy movements and serves on the board of Sri Sri Tattva, promoting Ayurvedic health and wellness. A meditation instructor who learned to meditate in his mid-teens. He is a writer and a musician. An artist at heart with the training of a quant graduating with an engineering PhD from the University of Michigan. He is a student of global humanitarian and realized master Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. Aniket is all about laughing through any situation, focusing on how to bring out the best in people. Aniket has called New York City his home since 2006 and is gearing up for the World Culture Festival being hosted on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. at the end of September. Oh, man, I'm honored to have you, brother. I'm honored to have you. I think we're all honored to have you. You know, you have done so much. You are so much. You give so much. And how you doing today?
Doing really, really well. I'm just excited to be here, and I think connecting with you just gives me a lot of joy. So I feed off your energy, man.
Same.
So thank you for
Same.
having me.
Of course. So let's get right into it. Let's not waste any time. So I read there that you were started meditating as a teen, right? What was happening in your life that led you to begin meditating?
I was in my teens. I was just curious. A lot of people at that time in the mid 90s in India, back in India, were just finding meditation. I think it was kind of coming into its own as a lifestyle choice. And I just got intrigued. My parents told me, "Hey, we're going for this course," and I was like, "Okay, sign me up." And I went for it, and I loved it. I took to it really, really naturally.
Mhm.
Uh, but then youth happened, man. Life came in the way. In a month's time, it fell away, and I came back to it 14 years later,
Mm.
New York City, when I was going through a little bit of a heartache in my life. And I just felt I needed to center myself with a community of people who were really seeking for something more. And I
Mhm.
couldn't really pinpoint what that was. But that's how I stumbled into Art of Living. And that's how I came to meet Gurudev on this journey.
Powerful, powerful. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about that. So now let's talk about art and music. At what point did you realize that you wanted to be a musician? And then how did music fit into your life? Because I heard you. You're a very good musician. I got to hear you live. Just for a little while. It was something small. Wasn't a big event at the at the conference a few months back. How did music come into play in your life?
Yeah, Sugar, that's a great question. I had a friend in school who used to play the guitar, and he had a lovely voice. So he used to strum and he used to sing, and I he was the inspiration behind which I started picking up basic, simple chords on the guitar. And he had an original song that he used to sing at any given moment, which I kind of copied and picked up. Uh, he was a real big inspiration in my life. He passed away with cancer like almost 20 years back, 20 plus years back. But he's the one who really inspired me to pick up a guitar and start singing and strumming. So back in the day, I used to only play four songs, and they were
Yeah.
essentially like blues and rock and roll and some rock. But now I play these devotional chants and kirtans, which you might have heard, which
Yes.
really are able to settle the mind and
Mm.
invoke something deeper within us.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been an interesting journey in music and art. But a big shout out to my friend Paro Pradeep, who was such a light in his own right.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's talk about that for a little while, right? So you've journeyed, you've been a lot of places, you've met a lot of people. How have you seen people use meditation and art as a way to heal themselves, as a way to bring people together?
Yeah, it's a great question, Sugare, because the art of living itself
Hmm.
implies that our life is actually a piece of art.
Yes, sir.
And art is what? When you go to a museum, you see, like, so many people see the same painting, but they might appreciate it in different ways.
Sir.
Similarly, we all have our own lives that we are living, but we might appreciate our lives in different ways and in our own unique ways. So I feel life is the biggest artistry that's there, and the creator is the one who's the grandest artist of them all.
Yes.
And the journey of meditation is very complementary to the journey of appreciating life for what it is. And it doesn't really matter what life brings to us, but really what matters is how we respond to what life is bringing to us. And that in itself is the art of living.
Yes. No, that's beautiful that you say that, because I speak to people, a lot of people often, and when I say I'm an artist, they ask me, what art do you do? And I laugh at the question
Yeah,
because is deeper than just what you do, and some people, I'll just tell them I make films or I write poetry. But for those who I think I can go deeper with, I say art is not what you do, art is who you are, art is
beautiful.
how you live, art is how you think, right? We have to remember that communication is an art, right?
Yeah,
The way you dress is an art. The way you design your room, the way you design your life, the way you show up is an art to it, which is why personally, prior to hearing about the Art of Living Foundation and being involved, I
yeah,
was already saying in my head 10 years ago, that I'm practicing the art of living, right? The art of thinking, the art of being, and things like that. So it's just real beautiful and harmonious that I was able to connect with the organization only a few years ago, I think 2-3 years ago now, and now
yeah,
meet you, who has brought me deeper into the fold, and I'm grateful for you. All right, so let me talk. So let me ask you a question before we move forward to the World Culture Festival and
yeah.
Gurudev coming to New York City. In your journey, what do you think has hindered people or stops people from really engaging with meditation and really seeing life as an art?
Yeah. Sugar Ray, it's like it's such a catch 22, right? Like, you know that to be able to manage life, you need something,
Hmm.
but then to actually commit to that something, you need to be able to manage your life just enough so that you're able to actually put aside everything and take time out for yourself.
Yes.
Very simply, we see this, right? Like, oh, I need to get healthier. I need to start going to the gym, right? But it's really hard in the beginning to commit to yourself for some things that you know are really good for you,
Yes.
right? When we were growing up, right, our parents basically forced us to brush our teeth till it became a habit. They
Yep.
forced us to have a shower and clean ourselves before it became a habit.
Yep.
So, as adults, what becomes really important is recognizing that investing in myself is not the last thing I should do.
The
It's the
first.
first thing I need to do.
So.
And I need to commit to it for a few days before it becomes a habit.
Mhm.
And in my sense, I think people have the best of intent, but life is so busy and there's so much to do with the capacity that we have that it becomes one more additional thing to do.
Mm.
It becomes one more project which actually doesn't allow people to like naturally imbibe this and embrace this as a part of their lives. But in the beginning, if somebody can, say, let me commit to this, let me see how I feel after maybe 3 weeks or a month or 40 days, and then let me make my decision whether should I do it or not. Then over a period of time, now I've been doing this for 15 years or so, it's natural. It becomes a habit. Like if you don't do it, you feel a little funny,
Yes.
you know? So it's this initial commitment that is needed, because everybody has the intent to meditate.
Mm.
The only hindrances are initial commitment till the time it becomes a habit.
Hmm. No, absolutely. That's powerful. And you know what's ironic in my life personally is that I came into meditation by accident. When I was younger, I got in trouble a lot. I got suspended from school a lot. Especially after my dad passed. When I was 11, and I
Yeah,
remember, I would have to stay in the house. My sisters would go outside, my friends are all outside, and I'm in the house looking out the window in Queensbridge Projects, and in front of my building there was a tree, right? Very big, beautiful tree. And I remember vividly being on punishment for from October to March, right? I couldn't go outside. But I remember sitting in a window every day after school, and I remember watching the tree change. I remember watching the leaves change color. I remember watching the leaves fall off. I remember watching the tree be bare. Then I remember the leaves start to come back in the spring around my birthday when I was off punishment.
it's
And
beautiful.
I didn't know that I was meditating then. I would watch, and then I would close my eyes, and I would just be in my head, in my mind, counting or just envisioning, sometimes just breathing, trying not to think about anything. And as I got older and looked back, I realized that I was meditating. So, like I said, meditation happened for me at a very young age, but as a result of being in trouble, and I wasn't aware that it was meditation. In the hood, nobody
Yeah,
talked about meditation in the urban NYC communities. We spoke about prayer and action. And it was wait, there has to be something between that or before that, right? And just real quick before we move forward, I remember, coming into the realization a few years ago, maybe a decade or so ago, that prayer is, if prayer will be talking to God or talking to the creator, then meditation will be listening, right? And then even deeper than that, for me, I said, if God already knows our thoughts, then there's nothing to ask for, there's nothing to pray for, it's just listen. Just be still and know that I am, which is taught differently throughout all of the world religions.
how
So it's
beautiful. That's lovely. Sugar Ray, like Gurudev says, everybody has had a taste of meditation.
mhm.
When we were 9 months in our mother's womb,
Yes.
we were floating in bliss. We were
Ah,
so comfortable. And the
yes.
journey and the thirst of the human soul is to go back to that absolute state of comfort. So
Yes.
each one of us has a seed that I think you're sharing. Is just like, how do we get there? You know?
Yes. Yes.
And that's where I think ancient masters and uh, Gurudev, like in my life, has been such an amazing source of inspiration. Like I can be as comfortable with everything that is happening in life because it's inside of me.
Yes.
I've had a taste of it. I've had an experience of it. And that's the journey, right? To your point of I am. Who am I? I am.
Mm.
And it's just lovely what you shared.
No, appreciate you. So now let's talk about Guru Dev. So now you were on this journey, you were practicing meditation as a child. It went away, you came to New York City dealing with a heartbreak, came back to you. You were looking for an organization, you were looking for something to connect to outside of yourself to really commit, as you mentioned, to this lifestyle, right? Because meditation is not just something you do, it's a lifestyle. Talk about your first time meeting Guru Dev. Like, what was that like for you? And how has that changed your life?
How lovely. It seemed as if we were not meeting for the first time.
Mm,
There was a lot of comfort and familiarity already there, and it felt like I was just meeting somebody who I've always met. And I think with Gurudev, I feel he's someone who just walks the talk,
mhm.
right? A book might explain like live in the present moment and love unconditionally and serve without expectation and be compassionate and sensitive. Like all of these things that we hear in books are the aspirations of a great human life. I just see that in him.
Beautiful.
And I see the ability of that being to be as magnanimous in front of hundreds of thousands of people and be as intimate and personal on a one-on-one with you.
Mhm.
And really, in some ways, like, he is for me the teacher who is necessary for understanding what happens in this inner world of the mind and the
Mhm.
spirit complex, right? Because for maths we have a teacher, and for football we might have a coach,
Yep.
but we never have a teacher for understanding what's the mind, how do you deal with emotions, how do you deal with your own ego, how do you actually access the spirit that's inside of you. What
Mm.
makes us think we can learn all of this from books and
Mhm.
podcasts, right? This right, somebody who is actually experienced and living it needs to be able to not only just communicate it, but help somebody experience
Yes.
that teaching as well. And for me, that has been Gurudev. That is in India, where I grew up. There's a saying where you cannot progress without a guide.
Yep. You can't.
There's another saying, like, they call people who do not have teachers or spiritual guides as orphans,
Mm.
because you might have biological parents, but if you don't have a guru, if you don't have a teacher to guide you, it's almost like you don't have any guidance in
Hmm.
terms of how to actually live in an in a very integrated way with the inner world that
Yep.
we carry within us.
No, that's so powerful and that's beautiful, and I can't wait to meet Guru Dev, because just listening, obviously, he's older than me. He's been, in this walk longer than I've been alive, right?
Yeah.
So I'm humbled to even just be in your presence to speak about him and to be on the path to meeting him because, so my name is Sugar Ray, right? Sugar Ray is an acronym for smooth understanding. The G is interchangeable. One of the G's is guru, because
Right.
humbly I've helped a lot of people deal with all of the things that you spoke about, their emotions, dealing with grief, how to, transform their life, go from negative to positive, how to tap deeper into their talents, their creativity, mending their relationship with their parents, and all of these things, and I know that I still have so much more to learn, right? I'm a forever student. And it's just funny that you mentioned guru because one thing that I realized, and then that I think, without meeting him, that I think Guru Dev also realized just from reading about him and hearing you speak about him is that all we do is reflect the mirror that's inside of you already,
How
right?
lovely.
All we do as spiritual teachers is to show you who you are inside. It already exists inside of you. All of the answers are already within because we all come from the same source. And so
That's right.
within me is within you is just about having someone who already attained something, that level of awareness and consciousness to remind you and to show you, hold on, let's do it. Let's maybe try something this way,
That's
right?
right.
And the way to teach is not through words, it's through a living example. And so,
How
this is
beautiful, Sugar Ray. I mean, like, that's what it is, right? Like, if you think God is omnipotent and omnipresent and omniscient, divinity is also with us. It's
yes,
within us, isn't it? But
yes,
it's easy to kind of say, oh, you know what? Divinity was like 2,000 years back and 5,000 years back, and now is like in a picture. But it's very hard to see divinity within ourselves.
yes,
For that, we need somebody who actually can make that connection much easier from something that's outside of us to something that's in front of us
yep,
and to something that's within us.
enough, yes,
Because you said we are all made up of that. We're
yep.
made up of love. Like, that's it. That's the commonality of the human existence.
Absolutely. So let's talk about it now. So in a few weeks, before we get to the World Culture Festival, which is happening in DC, which I'm
Yeah.
extremely excited to be a part of. Prior to that, we got Journey Within with Guru Dev, July 12th, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Let's talk about that. How important is that? How big is that? And why should people commit to being present at this event?
How lovely. This is a landmark event, I personally feel. And there are so many angles to this. First of all, New York City, by its own nature, has this incredible ability for us to do bigger and better things, and it pushes us outside always,
Mm,
right? The buildings, the pace of it, the opportunities that we have, everything is externally driven, everything is externally motivated. And as a result of what I've seen from teaching meditation for the last 10 years or so, people are so externally driven that they're burnt out.
mm,
That's the first thing that you start seeing, right? And people have, of course, like physically burnt out, but also emotionally and spiritually burnt out. So
yes.
the first thing I think that is really important for us to do is recognize that I need to take a pause, I need to take a break, and I need to start reversing and going within,
Mm,
right? Because once you're able to go within and able to harness all the gifts that are within us, the potential, the light that is within us, everything externally also becomes much easier, much smoother, and you can actually accomplish even greater things,
mm,
right? So the first thing, the rallying cry is for us to put a stop and a break to this journey that is pulling us externally, and taking the time out to actually go inward, right? So that's one commitment that we can make for ourselves. Second is, as I think, as we mentioned, in the presence of an enlightened being, there is a transference that happens that actually makes this theoretical knowledge an experience, and
yes.
that experience stays and it nurtures and it integrates, so that we are actually going out in the world and being able to apply a lot of what that experience brings to us, and makes us even more dynamic and even more accomplished in our lives. And I would say the third thing is, the journey within is the beginning of an incredible adventure.
Mm,
And like, going within gives us a glimpse to a slightly newer dimension than what I think we might perceive in our everyday, day-to-day living.
mhm,
And that journey is really, really precious, actually. So you can come for reasons of, like, taking a step back and rejuvenating and recharging the body and the spirit. But I would say the invitation is to dive a lot deeper in the journey of a lifetime.
yes.
The journey within is a journey of a lifetime. It's the small but long journey from the head to the heart.
Yes.
It's the journey of balancing our intellects with the innocence of who we were when we were not as cunning and smart and wanted our own way all the time.
Yes.
It's balancing the head and the heart, the intellect and the innocence, the sensitivity and the sensibility, right?
Mhm,
Like, how do you walk that fine balance of uh, integrity and living your life with purpose? And art, I think, is the invitation and the opportunity for the journey within. And there'll be 2,250 other New Yorkers.
beautiful.
Collective meditation has a life of its own.
Yes, it does.
The beautiful New York City Center. It's an iconic venue.
Mm,
It's so accessible. Like, we have tickets price starting at $25, when those kind of spaces have tickets of like $150 and so, right? We are kind of crowdfunding sources so that everybody can actually take part in this event. And it's just a group of volunteers who are
mhm,
really, like, driven in their purpose and have fire in their hearts to just spread this message, and invite more and more people to experience the magic that lies within,
mm.
uh, and in the presence of an enlightened master,
It
it
clicks.
just becomes so obvious and apparent.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Again, I'm extremely excited. I remember maybe when I was in prison, maybe 18 years ago, I remember reading something that said, like, we could change the whole world in one generation if we taught every 7-year old how to meditate. Right. And it was around that time in prison when I really became conscious of meditation, of stillness, of going within my mind. Because prior to prison, and my life was crazy, because although I was getting in trouble and I was living a street life, I was also committed to college, and I was also
Yeah,
committed to education. I had a 4.0 GPA, studying psychology, abnormal child psychology, and then early childhood education, right? So I've always been into knowledge. I've always been into,
yeah,
deep knowledge and reflection of self. I remember at my first semester in college at 17 years old, I took a philosophy class on Saturday for 4 hours only because I didn't want to break it up into 2 hours and 2 hours and 2 days. I said, I love philosophy so much. I want to do 4 hours at a time.
Amazing.
17 years old. And
Yeah.
so I believe wholeheartedly, and I think I know, and I think we've seen glimpses of it when groups of people come together in one space to meditate, right? On, even if their meditation may be different, this is the power of having a guide
Yes.
to bring us all to the same space at the same time, right? And then it radiates not only in that moment, but when we leave there, right? The meditation carries the light, the energy, as you said, is an energy transference from the enlightened being who may be facilitating to the participants, and as they leave to their family, to their friends. So I think if nothing else, meditation is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to transform our world like that, right?
Yeah.
Almost instantaneously, right? So let's talk about real quick before we move to the World Culture Festival. How?
Sugar, can I just share one thing that your sharing triggered? You know, the Art of Living also has uh, programs in prisons, and
Yes.
even in Riker's facility over here in New York City,
Yep.
our teachers are actually going in and teaching breath work and meditation to inmates who might, on the surface, have done things that society doesn't necessarily appreciate. And there's a lovely, lovely quote that Gurudev shares, which is, behind every culprit, there's a victim crying for help. And if you heal the victim, the culprit disappears,
Yes.
right? And each one of us has goodness in our hearts.
Yes.
Like if you look at any baby, like they have, again, the innocence that everybody has. But I think these practices, what they do is they heal the impressions that we might be carrying or the trauma that we might be carrying from the past, that allows us to actually live in this moment for truly who we are and maximize the potential that we are. And I think there are other components to the event that I want to kind of touch upon. Wisdom, self-reflection
Mhm.
is incredible, right? Because when you're able to meditate, you're much more receptive. And
Yes.
then even a small thing can really resonate with you in a big, big way and make a big difference in your life.
Mhm.
And the other piece that we are actually talking about is, you know, we are so stressed and we're such a short-tempered, like impatient generation.
Yep.
How do you, again, this is going back to your first question, how do you inculcate and cultivate this art of living joyfully?
Yes.
Right? Like, how do you express and live from a place of joy, from a place of fullness? That's what we want to explore in those 2 hours on
Yes.
July 12th with Gurudev
No,
and
that's
thousands of other New Yorkers.
no, that's so powerful, and that made me reflect on 2003 June 2nd. I got shot, and after getting shot for a whole year, me and the guy who shot me, we tried to kill each other, and then I ended up going to prison a year later for a separate shooting, and then he ended up getting killed. And I remember vividly on the phone with my sister, her telling me that this brother got killed. And I remember my first response, I was happy because I'm like, he hurt me, he deserved it. But it was about 3 days later, Aniket, I get emotional every time I think about it. I was sitting on my bed, and then Spirit said that you should be happy that no man got killed. That's another brother. That's another black man. That's another human
Yeah,
being. And that's when I knew my life was changing, because in that moment of hearing Spirit say that, I thought at first I was like, but he hurt me. They was like, okay, but y'all were both in the same situation. If y'all was never in the streets, living the street life, no one would have gotten hurt. And it made me begin to take accountability, right? Because at first I was angry. He hurt me. I was on the back. But in those moments in prison and being incarcerated, I was
yeah,
able to self-reflect, and it made me really realize that, like I said, prior to going to prison, I had money, I was free physically, but I was incarcerated in my mind. And then
yeah,
when I went to prison, I became physically incarcerated. I couldn't leave when I want, but my mind opened up. And that's when I really realized that the freedom, true freedom, is of the mind,
it's
right?
beautiful.
And that was so powerful,
That's beautiful.
and again, that's why this Art of Living Foundation, you guys, I'm locked in with you guys for life, man. As long as I breathe, I'm committed to the Art of Living Foundation. I'm committed to supporting and being a part as much as you guys will welcome me, and I want to be a part in every single way.
Oh, we are in this together, man.
I want to travel with you guys and all of this.
Gurudev's vision is he talks about like one world family,
Yes.
right? We might look different in our skins and
Yes.
tones and how we believe and how we practice our faith, but at the end of the day, we are one human family, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's there's more that unites us than divides us, and I think
Yes.
COVID has like taught us we're so connected,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like impact in one country shut down the rest of the globe,
Yes. Yes.
and it's time to recognize that we are in this together,
Yep.
and we have to celebrate our differences and not fight over our differences.
Yes.
Like
And you know what's so
diversity
powerful?
is,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm saying, like, can you imagine like just eating one kind of food constantly?
No.
Right? No, like you want to eat all kinds of food. Can you just imagine listening to one kind of music? No, you want to listen to all kinds of music.
Yes.
Same with human beings. You want
Yes.
all kinds of human beings on this
Yes.
planet, and we are one. So I think that's the message that really it's Gurudev's vision for the world, and World Culture Festival is actually a display and expression of that. We're
Yes.
going to have
And we're
four,
gonna
like,
talk about that. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna ask you about that specifically, right? So it made me, this conversation is beautiful because I remember. So I'm gonna start. If there's any art that I say I do, is storytelling, right? Just through
yeah,
different mediums. And I remember realizing that, as different as we may be, because as you mentioned, we are different. We have different politics. We have different faiths. We
yeah,
have different languages. We have different real life stories. But through storytelling, we realize that we are the same. We all experience pain, loss, grief, sadness, joy, happiness. We all want peace in our homes. We all want love. We all want our family to be safe and to
yes,
prosper and to be well. So essentially, as different as we are, which we are noticeably, we are way more connected, and we need to, as you mentioned, not fight over our differences, not be mad because people are different, but realize the differences and say, you know what? The fact that we are different, it actually adds more beauty. It adds more beauty to life because I'm able to learn different cultures. I'm able to eat different foods. I'm able to learn different languages. I'm able to see different dress styles. I'm able to just experience different in different places. The land is different. The
yes.
waters are different, right? So because we are different, it makes life that much more beautiful, not the opposite. And then the fact that we are so much more similar, it just makes us appreciate it all even more. So
How beautiful, Sugar.
So let's talk about World Culture Festival.
That's amazing, man.
We got Journey Within July 12th, which is working
Yeah.
us up to the mega festival. One thing that I was extremely excited about because you told me about it. I had never heard of the World Culture Festival until
Yeah.
we was at a conference a few months ago. And you asked me, do you know about World Culture Festival? And I said, no. And then you showed me the video on your phone, and I was blown away, and I was nearly in tears because at 7 years old in 1991, Michael Jackson released Heal the World. And I knew at 7 years old, I wanted to heal the world. And I have it tattooed on my hand, World Healer. It's who I am. And so I'm getting emotional now. I've always wanted to be a part of something that truly brought the whole of humanity together. And the World Culture Festival is that. So let's talk about World Culture Festival, September 29th to October 1st, National Mall, Washington, D.C. What is happening? Why is it coming to America now? And how can more people get involved?
Beautiful. I mean, I love your sharing, Sugar. I could listen to you the whole time. I could ask you questions, and maybe you should also.
Yes.
It's just lovely sharing. So this is the fourth World Culture Festival, and we've had 3 editions of this before. The first was in Bangalore in 2006 in India, and 2.5 million people showed up for that. And the idea behind that was very simple. It was 25th year anniversary of the Art of Living, and this thought was, like there's so much negativity that actually gets a lot of attention
Yep.
in the news, in people's psyche. How about like if a lot of people who want good for the world came together and made noise for peace and gave this strong message that, again, we are one human family. So the idea of World Culture Festival was born in 2006. And then the second edition of World Culture Festival, which Actually, I was a part of coordinating the artists. It was in the Berlin Olympic Stadium in Berlin, and this was the same stadium where Hitler gave this his call of
Yeah.
action of waging war on the world.
Hmm.
And there, Gurudev and the Art of Living, along with so many other organizations, gave this rallying cry for unity. And this was in the Berlin Olympic Stadium. Again, it was 2 or 3 days. It was just lovely to be a part of that. Where personally, I can tell you, like, I was volunteering with folks from South America. They
Okay.
didn't understand my language. I didn't understand what they were saying, but we were so happy,
Yeah.
and naturally things were being worked upon and moving seamlessly and effectively and efficiently. And that gave me the first taste of, you know what, the spirit doesn't need anything to collaborate and partner. Like,
Mm-mm.
it knows exactly what needs to happen at what point of time. And sometimes maybe words and our own seemingly appearances are deceptive in some ways. But if we are able to leave aside all of those and put aside those boundaries that seem on the surface, we're actually really unified in anything and everything that we do and experience. So that was the second thing. And then the third round was World Culture Festival in New Delhi.
Ooh,
Was incredible. In 2016, there were 3.75 million people over there, man. Like, the artist stage was 7 acres. Like,
crazy.
right, it's sorry, it was 7 football fields. It was massive, massive. And there were like 35,000 plus artists, and you could see like flags waving in the audience, and
Crazy.
flags belonging to all cultures, all countries. It was just lovely, and just being a part of something like that opens your eyes and widens your perspective.
Hmm.
And I feel in 2023, there is not a better place in the world than to have this in Washington, D.C. Like, the backdrop is the Capitol, where so many historic moments have happened in the history of not just the United States, but the world. And on the other side, you have the Lincoln Memorial,
Yep.
the Washington Monument, which has seen incredible moments in history again. Like, think about Martin Luther King Jr. giving his rallying cry uh, to essentially treat human beings as one. And it's a historic space. It's also very symbolic in the sense of there's a lot of division today in our politics, in our governance. And we want to send the message that, you know what, irrespective of our differences, there are higher ideals and aspirations that we want to work towards that will unify us.
Hmm.
So, as a part of that, there'll be all walks of people, all kinds of people together, heads of states, everyday people. And I am especially involved with the artistic pieces of this. So, I mean, I'm happy to share, like, we've onboarded at least 4,000 artists right now,
Ooh,
plus 3,000 Garba dancers. So, and they're expecting like about 15 to 20,000 artists to be
crazy.
there in DC, performing from traditions, 40 traditions across the globe,
Mm.
right? So you'll have like 1,000 people doing a Chinese cultural performance. You will have Ukrainian performances, right? You'll of course have the South American continents represented, like the Argentinian tango. You'll have the African continent represented. We have like a lot of African drummers. We have Middle Eastern dancers. You'll have the European continent represented. Essentially, every continent, every tradition becomes a meeting place.
Yeah, of
And I mean, between us, we want to break a lot of world records also,
course.
having the maximum number of nationalities on one stage, performing on one stage. So it is incredibly exciting. And I'm so thrilled that you're a part of this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, so how can those who want to attend, how can people who want to be present, organizations, individuals, how can they, be present? And if there's space for, more artists, I know you say you're looking to get, still want to enroll more artists. How can artists, be a part of it?
Yeah, it's great, Sugar Ray. So actually, we are also partnering with the city of DC and the mayor's office. So the tagline is Washington welcomes the world, and
Nice.
the city is kind of throwing an open welcome to everybody around the world. And then we are also coordinating with a couple of key establishments and organizations within DC themselves, like Events DC.
Yep.
We have a producer, which is Hargrove, a production company that has put together like all the presidential inaugurations thus far. And then we have a producer on board who's essentially the artistic director of the Kennedy Center, who's again done a lot of work in DC in the inauguration space. So we have a lot of like support from the local city itself to
Nice.
put this event together. In terms of how people across the country can join in, the first thing is to show up, right? Like over the
Yes.
weekend, just booking your flights, booking your hotels. Like hotels in DC will get crazy,
Yep.
like or Airbnbs, or making sure you have friends over there that you can basically couch surf and bring your friends and family along. That's the first thing. Second thing is just spreading the word, right? So if you're affiliated with organizations and networks, there's a big outreach happening in DC right now, connecting with like-minded organizations, so we can really spread the word, drive the awareness, and all come together in celebration. And then the third thing is, especially for the artist community, like if there is a passion, right, to give back and be a part of something like this, we should definitely talk, because there are various ways to get involved, either being a part of the existing performances, or if there is like a really, really a performance that represents a certain culture or a certain type of tradition, like we should talk about it, because right now we have just a few spaces left. Like the teams have been working for a year in terms of
Of course.
coordinating artists and
Of
pulling
course.
things. And the really interesting piece over here, Shagare, is 99% of the people are local, right? So
Power.
think about the power of America as a melting pot of different traditions and cultures, all being represented in the US of A.
Powerful.
And it's really, really incredible that the whole world actually is in DC, is in
Yeah.
the United States.
Powerful. Powerful. So where can folks go to to start, to get their tickets, and find out more information? Where do they go?
Yeah, so wcf.artofliving.org.
WCF.artofliving.
Living.org. You should be able to register for your free passes. The event is free and open to anybody and everybody. And the other cool thing is, Sugar Ray, there'll be food trucks from 80 different countries and cuisine,
Nice. Nice.
right? So, like, the taste of the world will be in DC over that weekend. But the first thing you do is you get your free pass, you register for it, you book your hotel, and then you book your flight.
Perfect. 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 Aniket, let me ask you a question. Um, in your organization of bringing artists together and just working towards this event specifically, what has been some of the biggest challenges in pulling this event together and bringing people together? What are some of the challenges that you see?
The challenges are they are much more about how do we build our teams out, so as so many people start coming to DC and get integrated into putting these performances together, we are actually seamlessly working together, right? So right now there's a small team that continues to expand, but
Yes.
the number of artists that we are bringing on will require even more people and
True.
all hands on deck, right? And it's really intricate. Like if you think about it, there are performers and artists all over the country. So how do you rehearse? How do you make sure you're coordinating? How do you make sure you have a rehearsal space for thousands of artists? And then
Mm,
you're able to tell how to space and how to move and transition. So there's like logistical stuff that is also at play. But I mean, like what we kind of pride ourselves on is taking it as an adventure.
mhm.
So any challenge, any roadblock is one more means to express our creativity and involve more people in terms of helping address those challenges. But I would say like getting more and more people involved and more leaders and hands on deck is the need of the hour. The other place I would say is, if more organizations want to contribute and be a part of this and share the load and share the space, I think that's the other piece of this that would really, really be beneficial.
Got it. Got it. Powerful. So Aniket, man, tell me specifically which, if you could pick one, and I know you can't, but if you could, which are you more excited about?
I'm excited right now talking to you.
In the moment, I was hoping that you said that. In the moment, I love it. I love it. I love it. Aniket, if you have some words of inspiration, some last words of encouragement for our viewers who will watch this interview, man, what are some things you would share with them?
Wow. I mean, to me, the biggest thing that I would love to share is uh, meet Gurudev. I would just say meet Gurudev because all of this really comes into force and encapsulation when that experience happens around him. Um, in a simple way, it's like the joy that you feel when you see 1,000 babies cackling together, right? Like that's the joy and bliss Gurudev emanates. So the one thing that I would leave is, of course, other than all the things that Sugar you have shared, is take the chance to meet Gurudev.
Got it.
Enlightened masters are rare, and if there's a guide that actually comes to your city and is so accessible, I would just say take the chance
Mm-hmm.
and see what the buzz is all about, and then
Powerful.
prepare to be amazed.
Beautiful. And how can folks get tickets to this event? Where can they go to get tickets?
So the tickets to this event will be at aolf.me/journey.
Hold on. Tickets for the journey within.
It's aolf.me
A
slash
AOLF
dot me
me slash
slash journey.
journey.
That's it. As simple.
Tickets for the journey within. AOLF.me the journey. Yup. All the
Oh, you
links.
got it. That's awesome.
Me. Got it. Yo, Aniket, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your energy. Thank you for keeping us informed. With these two monumental events, the opportunity for the Journey Within happening on Wednesday, July 12th, 7 to 9 p.m. at the New York City Center. Incredible experience, 2,250 people. I'm sure it's going to be great. I look forward to being there. I look forward to experiencing, Gurudev in that way. World Culture Festival happening September 29th to October 1st at the National Mall of Washington, D.C. Free tickets. All people need to do is book their flights, their buses, their trains, gas up their car, get their
Yeah.
hotels, and get there for 3 days. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sugar Ray.
Yo, everybody, this is your boy, LaShawn Sugar Ray Marston, host of the Sugar Ray Show, wrapping up another incredible episode with artist, musician, social engineer, entrepreneur, meditation guide, students, all around incredible human.
Friend.
Aniket Gune, friend, brother, and all the good things, man. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We all we got, but we all we need. Peace.